Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. Well, the Democrats finished their convention, their virtual convention in every single way, and we're here on the Gaggle to give a post-mortem to it. We have Rob Taub. He is a well-known writer, commentator on news and in television, and I think has one of the greatest voices of all time. And we have George Szamuely. He is a writer and commentator and one of the founders of this channel. Rob, you've described yourself on Crosstalk many times as a mainstream Democrat, so I think we can get a very good 2020 vision on what happened in the last few days. What did it achieve, Rob?
Well, I'm looking at this as a very objective observer right now of both parties. I was unimpressed with the whole convention, and for a party that is attacking elites and condemning the wealthy, why do they parade Hollywood celebrities with wildly insane net worths that the average person couldn't even begin to comprehend? I'll use Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Not only is she probably worth over $100 million as a result of Seinfeld, she comes from one of the wealthiest Wall Street families in the history of our country. So how is this a logical representative for a party of the people? And then she stands there and smugly mispronounces Mike Pence's name. Well, let's make it clear, nobody has condemned Trump and Pence more than I as a spokesperson for the Democrats, but I have to just be a speaker of truth here. It's like, you know, when you're comparing apples and oranges, I hate them both right now.
Okay. You know, George, I mean, for me, it was just so substance free. Okay. And I think that's intentional, because if you start talking about substance, you'd have to actually have a platform that would appeal to the electorate and what the Democrats can do for them. I mean, why do they want to win back the White House? Why do they want to keep control of the House of Representatives? Why do they want to win the Senate? I mean, and all of that's possible here. But what are you going to do with that power? And I think that was not addressed in one way or another during this past week here. And just saying you hate Trump. Well, you know, is there anyone in America that doesn't have an opinion on the man by now? Okay, I always put that to a side. I don't care about the tweets. I don't care about the vulgarity. I don't care about the clownishness. I care about the policy. Okay. And the Democrats would not go there, maybe because there is very little unity in the Democratic Party. We'll get to that. Go ahead, George.
No, I think that's right. And I think that the Democrats, and we've talked about this week, are making all of the mistakes that they made in 2016. They are appealing to their rich donors. They're appealing to their Hollywood fat cat friends. And they're appealing to this never Trump Republicans, all of whom showed up in 2016, and not one of whom actually made any kind of an impact on the election outcome. It might have been more successful this time if they could have at least got one Republican who said, yeah, I voted for Trump in 2016, but now I've turned against him. But no, this was the same crowd. John Kasich, Colin Powell, Meg Whitman. I mean, it's the whole bunch of them. So the thing that they fell out on in 2016, what they missed out on was the white working class vote in the Midwest that deserted Obama and went to Trump. And that's the vote. That's the vote that they have to win back. There's no other way that they're going to win the White House without winning this vote back. And they had no idea whatsoever of how to win that vote back. In fact, everything that they said during this week is likely to alienate that very voting bloc.
You know, Rob, I have to be honest. I didn't watch it all. I mean, I do have a life, and most of it was really cringeworthy. But just to kind of echo George's point, I didn't see the Democrats make any appeal to people that voted for Trump in 2016.
Well, George is right. I mean, I'm not saying we're having a kumbaya moment here, but if we really want to objectively analyze what took place, it was everything I watched was contrived and insincere And there was no policy. What is the policy? Do I know that Trump is a buffoon and that I don't care for the way he comports himself and he says and does stupid things and that he's a bully? It's an old editor of mine would have been saying if I was pitching an article as he smoked a cigarette, tell me something I don't know. Why do they have to browbeat us with this? What you do want to get, you want to convert the people in flyover states and in battleground states that are torn, and they're not. The Democrats are not telling what the policy is, perhaps because they're afraid to tell us that they want to raise taxes significantly and that it's going to be a burden to all of us. And it's probably across the board. It's going to be tax and spend, because I do hear from all of them, we're going to have free this, we're going to have free that, and I'm kind of tired of all of it. That's, the Bernie Sanders thing. It's all free. Everything is free. We'll give it to you for free. What would you like? I'll give. You need a car? That should be free. I mean, ultimately, we're coming to socialism or communism, where our insane mayor of New York had flirted with when the COVID-19 first hit and the airlines were in trouble. Now would be a perfect time to nationalize them. Sure, just like we've nationalized the Postal Service, which is, a horrible federal bureaucracy that was ultimately really replaced by UPS and FedEx. I'm not trying to drone on here, but all of this gets me angry and frustrated because I'm coming up on 65 years old in February. I've lived through a lot. I've seen a lot. And I feel like I'm some lone voice in the bottom of a canyon and nobody will throw me a lifeline.
Rob, but it's something I've thought a lot about lately, is that the majority are politically homeless. Let's face it, okay? Because there is so much alienation. Next week, the GOP is on deck. I hope you'll join me next week, and George, and we'll create them too, okay? Because I hold both parties in equal contempt, okay?
I hope they don't bring in Scott Baio.
Doesn't tell you anything about modern day American politics. George, I think one of the interesting things, a lesson not learned from 2016 that is being played out right now, is that the Democrats just have contempt for people. They have contempt for voters, because if you don't vote for us, you have no moral value. See, the problem is when you have a politics of morality, and either you're moral or you're immoral. I mean, that's not a good politics, okay? It's by definition alienating people. And I felt insulted over and over again watching snippets of it, because they're not even trying to appeal to me. And and you know me pretty well, George, I'm not all that hot on Donald Trump at all, particularly in foreign policy. I'm furious, okay? But holding the electorate, it really is the deplorables again. They're playing it again. They don't learn. Go ahead, George.
No, that's right. Over and over and over again, they kept repeating that America is incorrigibly racist. With Kamala Harris's line, there's no vaccine against racism. That America is incorrigibly sexist, homophobic, misogynist. So how exactly are they planning to win over voters who had voted for Trump? Insulting them, telling them you're a bunch of racists, you're a bunch of sexists? That's no way of doing it. And the whole vision of America is so dark and so unattractive. Then again, how are they planning to do it? I mean, yesterday when Biden, he was talking about the coronavirus. So now what is his plan? He's saying that basically no one's going to do any work. Everything is going to be shut down until we've dealt with the virus, until not one person in America will test positive for the virus. So that's the plan. You're going to keep the economy shut down for the next 2 years, and then you're complaining about the economic downturn under Trump. I mean, it's just insane.
Well, George, we all know, even if let's say parenthetically Joe Biden did that, the people that put on that show, that virtual show that was so cringeworthy, they'll all still be drinking wine in the shower.
Yeah.
Okay, because
I'll bring up another point to follow up to what George said. Is Obama spoke eloquently, but then he said, this country just can't be changed and affected by one man. Okay, I'll buy that. But then the Democrats say, if it were not for Donald Trump, we would not be experiencing COVID-19. And again, Peter, I've been on your show so many times. You know how I lambast Trump. I've written some of the harshest pieces about him, even on Newsmax and in the Huffington Post, so covering liberal and conservative, places. And it's just ludicrous then. It's when it's convenient, we can put the blame on one person. But otherwise, we can say that we need this unified democracy. And a virus is going to do what a virus is going to do. Don't want to deviate to that. But again, it's all how convenient the argument is and where they want to lay the blame on Trump. And it really is, again, offensive to me when I'm told if we would have had Biden or Obama or Hillary, we wouldn't be experiencing any of this. BS.
Yeah, because the Democrats are not they're not the cure for this. They're not the vaccine for this pandemic. Okay, George, one of the things that I found very, very curious is this Kamala Harris character. If you watch like Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham, he's a communist, he's a Leninist, she is a pawn of AOC and all that. No, it's just the opposite. She is the epitome of neoliberalism, and the markets love it. Okay, yep. I mean, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself for next week, but I mean, the way the Republicans are addressing this is so off because you know what? A lot of people would like to have free health care. Okay, I mean, it's a majority. The majority of Republicans actually believe that. Okay, I mean, it seems to me that this is like an echo chamber. I mean, Kamala Harris is the establishment, and she stands for the status quo, and that for me is the easiest to attack. But the Trump people seem oblivious, chasing their tail. Go ahead.
Yes, that's right. She is, exactly as you say, the purest expression of neoliberalism. She loves the corporations. And like the corporations, she loves playing identity politics because it's very easy. You set everybody off against everybody else. Whites against blacks, whites against Hispanics, Hispanics against blacks, men against women. And you could just endlessly play that little game. And of course, then no one is offering any kind of critique against corporate greed, lack of union representation, pay going down, and of course, all kinds of goodies that she's planning to throw the corporations, such as open borders, which means there's a plentiful supply of cheap labor. Of course, the corporations love her, and that's why the markets responded so positively to the appointment. They know exactly what they're getting from them. And I think you're right. I think the Republicans will make the mistake next week of lambasting AOC. The real enemy is AOC. AOC is running everything. She's going to be running Biden. AOC doesn't even run the congressional Democratic Party.
She endorsed Bernie Sanders. She endorsed Bernie. Okay.
Yeah, but they're going to walk right into that trap.
Yeah, Rob, let's wrap this up here. Rob, I mean, in your opinion, as a mainstream, rational, traditional Democrat, is this wokeism working on people that you know around you? Because people tend to associate with the same people that have the same affiliations. Is it working?
On millennials, unfortunately, a yes. On my peers, and again, I'm almost 65, no, because I've lived through it. And so I don't believe in systemic racism. I experienced real racism, and I'm Jewish, terrible anti-Semitism in the 60s and even the 70s, and I've watched our country evolve. So I think we're getting better. We're not somehow devolving the way certain liberals will have us believe we're going back to some Stone Age where we're carrying clubs and dragging women into caves. I find it unfathomable, but it's working for them because millennials, while they have the internet at their fingertips, don't seem to care to want to learn or read about history. They just want anecdotal evidence by somebody condemning others and telling them you're bad, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a homophobe. Yeah, I'm none of these things.
It's a politics of presentism. Everything is in the present. There's nothing in the past here. I want to thank Rob and I want to thank George for joining us here on The Gaggle. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And next week, we're going to go after the Republicans. Thanks, guys.